Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Proline, the longest-running sports handicapping show in America. I'm John Cranton in Las Vegas, joined by Jeff Sod, who's been running Las Vegas Sports Services for over 14 years. It's tourney time. We're going to take a look at the March tournament play, some teams that should be good to wager on, as well as totals over and under, as well as some possible overvalued teams with some weaknesses. First, Jim Feist is going to be joining us a little later in the program with some tips that he has on a line movement that's taking place with some of these early tournament games, and remind you that Jim is on a 23-7 weekend run. He had 4 games of the year releases in college basketball. He had all 4 Wednesday's Big 12 tournament game of the year. That one with Oklahoma State, 80-62. His Big West game of the year was on Northridge, an underdog that won straight up. Friday had his rivalry game of the year. That was San Diego State topping UNLV. And then Saturday, his game of the year on Louisville topping UConn. Is also on a 23-13 run with Inner Circle College basketball releases. And here's the deal. If you want to play the rest of the tournament, Jim's executive and Inner Circle plays, $29 for that whole package, 1-866-841-1655. Speaking of sizzling runs, Jeff, you enjoyed the Friday, a 3-1 run. You had your tourney shocker game of the year. That was Pittsburgh. And you seemed to road Michigan State all weekend long. I didn't realize you were a Spartan fan.
This weekend I was, because right now they look like one of the favorites to go a long way in the NCAA tournament. Right now I'm going to give you the rest of March, NBA and college basketball, 5-star and best bet releases, all for a grand total of $20. Just call LVSS to 1-866-575-8916 the rest of the month. College basketball is going to be, NCAA, NIT, all those other tournaments, plus NBA, all for just $20. Call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916.
All right, let's start off with some teams that appear to be built for March. We got the Florida Gators, #1 with the Billy Donovan running the show. Jeff, are the Gators too big a public team to be backing, or they have the stuff to make a deep run?
Well, both, but you might not get much value here because right now they look like one of the best teams in the country. They almost blew that game against Kentucky, probably because they were almost due to lose. They went undefeated through the regular season, and then they won the first couple of games of the tournament. So you can't blame them for having one bad half. But right now, Florida looks like one of the best teams in the country and one of the favorites to win the whole thing. This team is similar to the 06-07 teams, where they have a lot of guys that stayed together and didn't go pro early. Right now, they have 3 seniors, Prather, Young, and Wilbekin. So this is the kind of team that can go all the way, and but the only thing is you probably won't get a lot of value with the lines there, John.
Well, I'm going to take a look at a team like Virginia coming out of the ACC. I think they're going to be a team that I would look to wager on. I think they're going to offer some value. First of all, they got a chip on their shoulder. They're just the 8th team to win the ACC regular season title outright and win their tournament, and they've been undervalued, not being a huge name program for quite a while. When they face a team with a winning record, they're 13-2-2 against the spread, and overall they're on a 15-5-2 spread run coming into the tourney. Plus they have that great defense that they can rely on, which is so important this time of the year. They're on a 10-4 run under the total, like the 1-2 punch they have with sophomore Malcolm Brogdon and the 6'6 senior Joe Harris, who really does it all. They're a selfless team that was certainly on display in the ACC tourney, and that suffocating defense. They swept 3 games and they allowed just 51, 48, and 63 points on the way to the title game, or in the title game. They held that great Duke offense to just 38% shooting. So you got a coach here in Tony Bennett who demands a physical inside play. I think that's going to be a big plus in March. And notice that when they face Duke on Sunday, they outscored them 25-7 from the free throw line. So there's quite a bit that Virginia has in their corner. I think they can continue that, being very good in March as a team to look at under the total and offering some value. They're not going to be a pushover team at all. Jeff, do you see any other teams in the East that might stand out?
Well, Syracuse, I tell you, we talked about their problems the last couple of weeks where they just can't put the ball in the basket. And that was shown perfectly in the final seconds of the game against NC State when they lost in the ACC tournament. Syracuse missed the last 6 shots in a row. They're just firing up from everywhere. Most of them didn't even come close, and that's going to be the problem. You know, they always have that great zone defense. They have size, rebounding, but if you can't put the ball in the basket, you can't score points, and that's been the problem. They're shooting 43.7% from the field, 33% from three-point range. In that game against NC State, they shot 33% overall. So right now, it doesn't look good for Syracuse. They've lost 5 out of the last 7, and they'll beat Western Michigan, but then they'll get either Ohio State or Dayton, and that won't be easy against either one of those teams. So right now, I'm not too high on Syracuse, John.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at Kansas. Here's a team that might offer some value because they've got star power at so many positions. First of all, look at the offense and the rebounding categories for the Jayhawks. 25-9 season, 8-7 spread run coming in. They've been covering numbers. And the offense is sensational. 26th in the nation in points scored. They're 6th in the whole country in field goal shooting, close to 50%. If you just look at the Big 12 play, one of the dominant conferences, they outscored teams by 10 points a game. Well, that's double anybody else. They also average 81 points per game. This is a powerhouse team behind the freshman sensation, Andrew Wiggins. But it's that injury to Joel Embiid that really changes things. Tremendous player in the low post, blocking shots and grabbing rebounds. May see some value with Embiid not being in there in the tournament, but this team still is very potent. When Kansas has been an underdog this season, they've been great, 2-1 straight up in ATS. Haven't seen it very often, but they've been winning those games. If they happen to face a Big 12 team, they're 21-11 against the spread against the Big 12. So the caution with Kansas would be future bettors. If you're looking at them to go to the Final Four or winning the whole thing, boy, that injury to Embiid certainly changes it. He's got a back injury, and if it's a smaller guy and he has an injury, that's one thing. But when you're 7 foot like that and you have all that weight and height, that can mess you up, as we see with guys like Bill Walton and more recently Greg Oden. So I think Kansas is a team that's going to could offer some value early on in the tournament, but if you're looking at future bettors, I would say be very cautious.